but I used to sell weed. There's a certain time I was even introduced to cocaine. I found it at the washroom. It was a bottle that was labeled. It was labeled like grams, cocaine. So I sniffed like today, tomorrow, and I felt like, well, mimi staki ki. So this job of Mwarabu, this Arab guy, it reached a point that they started denying us our cash. They started denying us our cash.
They used to
So
pay you daily.
yeah, they used to pay us daily. Daily we get our money. Daily we get our money. When it reached this month of Ramadan, they decided because there are not many people eating during the day, we can carry food and wait for 1 week so that they can pay us our money. So when 1 week ends, we wait for another week, then we were paid the money for last week. They started delaying our salary. As a boy and I'm brought in Nairobi, I saw that was not fair and I couldn't hold anymore. So I decided to leave that job, and it was saving my family a lot because my dad was not sending us money anymore. He was sending us money when he wants. He forgot his family, kabisa. And we were many, so my mom really struggled. Now, I came back home and God was merciful. I got a job. I guess he was hearing the cry of my mom. So I got a job at a club. I felt like it was God. It was God who connected me to that
Club.
job of that club. Yeah, it's a club. So trust you me, I was just exposed in a good way to alcoholism. So that club I used to work at night. Then during the morning I sleep. I decided to sell weed at that club because it was a high club. It was a club that was at Westlands. So it had people who had cash, had money. Then at that club, I also did, if you put your phone in a bad way or your wallet, I was working as a steward. A steward is an housekeeper. So I had access to the ground. So if you put your stuff bad, I will take it, not take it to lost and found, but keep it for myself. I started even selling phones. I started even selling phones. I had someone who could connect me, to someone who could flash the passwords, and the phone will become new again, and I will sell it. I sold weed at that club. I earned cash. And imagine that cash went to my siblings. I didn't use it for another purpose. I used it for my siblings because my dad would come, say that he did not work, he did not get money, they did not pay him. So I used that money to help my siblings, to help at home, and pay. I didn't pay for my fees for my siblings. My dad used to pay. He used to pay, but providing for the family. He used to say that I'm a grown up. I can also help him to bring something on the table. But now he forgot that he did not support me in getting a job or doing something that will make me earn cash. My dad used to do he was he was a he was a fundi. He was a fundi. He used to deal with metals at construction site.
Okay.
He used to deal with metal at a construction site. So the money he was earning, he used to pay fees for my siblings, but they would stay a lot of time. They would be chased for school fees at home. That's what forced him to pay because they are being chased out of school. So he was forced to pay. My mom was forced to look for bursaries and such to support my small siblings. So this job of club, when it came, it really helped a lot because I was paid monthly. I was paid 7,000 shillings every month because I didn't go to job. I used to go to job from Thursday to Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm at home. What am I doing at home? Preparing weed to sell. To sell weed for my friends at home. And also when I go to work, I will sell for my colleagues and I will sell for customers. But not all customers. I will sell for specific customers because when they find me selling the weed at the club, they will take me to police custody. So at the club, I was introduced to a certain madam called Madhewangara, a certain madam who used to live at Ngara, who used to bring many, large quantities of weed. So I would wake up at 6 a.m., go to that madam, get my, I improved from 500 grams. I started dealing with 1,000 grams. 1,000 grams. So I will wake up very early in the morning, go for the weed, 1,000 grams, come with it at home, make some strands of weed, then go with it at work. At work, I used to smoke every time because it's night. So, so that I cannot be tired, I believed I smoke half the strand, then I come back to work, take some shots so that I can be active. I can be active throughout the night. I can be able to handle these drunk people because I was dealing with many drunk people during the night. So telling them to squeeze, they have messed in the floor. Somebody drank a lot of alcohol, then he messed. So I was the one to clean it up. So to be able to maneuver and to manage that situation, and so that I cannot feel that I'm belittled, I'm discouraged, I needed to smoke some weed to gain me courage and drink some shots. Even waiters, I used to have very good waiters. They used to call me not a snitch. They used to say, Dan, you're not a snitch, so don't worry. We got you. We must bring some shots to you during the night so that you can be active, so that the night will not be boring. So if you drink and the music, the night cannot be boring because you're drunk, Pia, and you're working, so you are active. I used I was very active in my work. I never felt that like I should not be doing this work. So I did it with a lot of passion. So with time, there's a time I even got arrested because police caught me at the action of buying weed. Then they took me into custody. But God was very merciful. I never went to jail. So when they arrested me, I had cash. So I was to withdraw my first cash withdrawal of 15,000 of weed because they caught me with weed. So I was released. Then I went
You
back
gave
at
them
work.
15,000.
15,000.
You gave to
So
them.
it was an habit. They even crammed me
Uh
because
huh.
they knew I was a customer of Madewangara. At times, I felt like Madewangara was the one who telling them there's a certain boy who has taken some weed and is walking in a certain direction. So if you are in that, because the police used to stay at that place, around that place, because they knew this place, there is a weed market somewhere there. So they cannot harm the weed market because corruption, it's Kenya. There's money which was coming from Madewangara to police. So they would, if they find you at that place of Madewangara, that place even had some rooms to smoke. Many university students now, they used to come at that place to smoke weed before going to class, ama when they are going at home. So this day they ate my 15,000. Then there was a certain day they brought a car in front of me after me coming from Madewangara. Then there was like, wewe mrasta, because I had dreadlocks. You rasta man, we know that you are carrying something illegal. Then they grabbed me and entered me into that car. This cash I was earning, it reached a point, I eat 50, the cops eat 50. So this 50, it only buys for me stock. Then this other 50, my benefit, the one that I've earned, like benefit that the police will eat it. So it was, I felt bad, but I felt like this is a challenge of my job. I felt like this is Satan attacking my work. So I didn't forget to pray the Lord's Prayer. I was a very good prayer of the Lord's Prayer. I didn't know why, but I used to pray the Lord's Prayer always. My Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So I was familiar to that Lord's Prayer. I felt like it handled my case. Like God was acting like an advocate. Jesus was acting like an advocate through that prayer, because it comprised of everything, me forgiveness. So even if I'm selling this weed, if I play the Lord's Prayer, I feel like I am forgiven. So at this club, I worked at this club from 2019 to 2020 before COVID. When COVID came, that's where I decided, that's where I knew that my ways are not the ways of God. Because when COVID came, at my workplace, at that club, they used to say the ones who will be leaving at this work because of COVID are the new people. And I was not a new person. I worked at that club for 7 months. So there's a day at January, ending of January, when COVID was introduced. Then it was said that COVID is spreading, COVID is spreading. It even came to Kenya. Our club reduced people, and I was among the people who were reduced. I was among the people who were fired. And I was fired because the management said that mi ni mjanja. I don't know how to interpret
That's
that
okay.
in.
That's okay.
They,
Uh-huh.
they said that I know a lot of things. They needed somebody from Ushago because it was a club. So many things used to happen, and it's not a lie. Anyway, I used to do many things at that club, like selling weed, but I used to sell weed. There's a certain time I was even introduced to cocaine. I found it at the washroom. It was a bottle that was labeled. It was labeled like grams, cocaine. So I sniffed like today, tomorrow, and I felt like, well, mimi stakiki, I don't want this thing because I don't know how it works. Because when I sniff it, I don't feel anything. But the more I keep sniffing it, I'm scared I might get the urge. So God was merciful. I didn't. I didn't sniff the cocaine, the whole. In fact, I poured it in the washroom. I didn't even sell them. I didn't give to anyone. I poured it. That was the only encounter I had with coke. That was the only drug I tried to use, but it did not work with me and I didn't feel anything. So I poured it in the washroom. So this 2020 COVID came and I was fired. Then I came back home. And that's the time I started asking myself, what am I doing in this world? Why are things not going according to my ways? So 2020 April, I, I felt like it's me living this God and this Christianity thing that my parents used to force me when I was a little baby. So I read the book of Romans. 2020, I read the whole book of Romans, and it was only talking about me. I felt like every word I read, it was only talking about me. It was only talking about me. So at that time, I can say the flesh was weak, but the spirit was willing. So I had to smoke so that I can concentrate with this word, this Romans. I didn't stop smoking. Then I felt like this Bible is telling me that because I'm jobless, it's high time I should start selling weed. I should start being that area plug peddler. I should start being this area because they know me quite well. I should start peddling weed this area. And I did not hesitate. I remembered Mother Wangara, that madam who used to sell for me. And I took the chances. I even involved my siblings in that work. So I used to roll because I'm a boy and the police might get suspicious because my area, they used to patrol. I will send my sister to deliver because at the end of it, this man will come at home to buy milk, to buy supper, to buy breakfast. So this time is when my mother realized that I'm exposed to weed. He came and caught me red-handed with a basin trying to make those strands. And he was like, Dan, what are these? What are these? So I was very clever. I knew my mom could not defeat my mind. So I told her, these are herbs I was given because of my issue with flu. I had an issue with flu. Every now and then I had flu. So I told her this because he didn't find me. He find me trying to prepare it so that it can be into small pieces. So he didn't find any roll. So I told her there are herbs. I need to boil them and make tea that will help me solve my flu. So my mom believed and did not question me a lot. Now something happened. There is a place where my mom was going to work, and her boss had the same basin that I had, and the same things he saw back at home. Her boss had the same. Her boss, I don't know how that. Yani, God's spirit showed her, your boy is using these things. He's lying to you because her boss even rolled the same things he saw me with and even smoked because he was working at a home place, at a house of a certain mom at Karen. So this boss of my mom's, she was pregnant, but preparing weed to smoke. So that's where my mom realized my boy lied to me. He told me that these are herbs, but I can see these are the same things. At home, I saw my boy with, and my boss is using is I told you my mom was from Dandora. So he knew this weed, he knew bang, because he told me that his neighbor used to smoke. His neighbor used to smoke. So it's just that he didn't know that it can come in a form of leaves before it's rolled. He didn't know that. So he realized that when she saw her boss. So when she came home, she questioned me and asked me, and I was very innocent, and I told her that it's not the way she thinks it is. She relaxed and decided that you live here and I live here. So whatever you're doing, I'll come just to know. So there's a time a neighbor told her that your son is selling weed to my son. Anaharibu mtoto wangu. I'm the boy who your mom warned you about. That's how they used to say about me. I used to say I am the boy who your mom warned you about. So I had that slogan because I felt like I was the conqueror and I was the king because I was the plug of that area. So my mom came and told me, Kumbe, that day you are rolling weed and you're destroying people's children. Why are you doing that? And I told her that this money is coming back at home. My dad was not able to provide in a good way. So I didn't have another option because I was jobless. 2020, I was jobless, and the only thing I saw could earn me cash is selling weed, is selling marijuana. And I really earned a lot. So the more I sell it, the more people knew me. The more I sell it, the more people knew me. I I even shifted at home and went to live myself now. I rented a house. I paid that house 2,000 shillings. So I used to sell and bring people at that house to smoke at that house because I've rented that house. No one knows like this house. The one who lives here sells weed, is a peddler. No one knew. So with time, I became famous. That area, I became famous and became famous. And the more I became famous, one cop realized that a certain house sells weed in this area. So they ambushed me. When somebody set me, some snitched, I don't know, somebody snitched me out. And they ambushed me, really serious. And they found me at the act of making the rolls. They ambushed me, they caught me, they took me into custody again. But these were different cops. They were cops of home, cops from our home area, our estate. So I had to pay cash. But the good thing, I never involved my parents in this. I knew this was my own trouble and I will handle it myself.
So how much money have you paid this time?
This time I paid 32,000. 32,000 was because they even they pressed my balls to make that weed come from where I was hiding. They were very rough. They were told that house you must turn it upside down because there is something in that house that you must come out with. And they came out with something, a large amount of weed. Because I stopped dealing with 500 grams, I stopped dealing with 1,000 grams, I went to 25 grams. I was improving as time went by. So we made an agreement with the cop that I'll be selling, then he'll be coming for a certain amount of money every day. So every day I used to pay a certain cop 200 shillings to cover me up. I didn't stop selling. I just knew these are challenges of work. And now I'm selling, inviting.
Something happened to the audio. Let me confirm that it's okay on this side.
I can't hear him.
Okay, can you try again?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, now you can hear it.
I'm
Go ahead and try summarizing that part so that you can now tell us how you met Christ.
yeah. So it was so hard, and it was so hard, but I managed. So with time, I even realized that this work of selling weed, it's not beneficial anymore, because the moment cops get me, they eat a lot of cash. They take a lot of cash from me. So I decided to do beauty. This cash that I earned, I took myself at a beauty course. I started doing nails and doing dreadlocks, which I'm doing right now. It was in 2021, that time. I decided to 2022. So this time I started doing my work, and the the way I met Christ is because my dad came and he got an accident. I believe it was a bad behavior that were repaying him. He got an accident, and now, because I was the one who was catering for my siblings when my dad was around, I had to cater for my siblings. I had to continue with the journey of catering for my siblings, because my dad, this accident, till now, it pushed him down. His nerves got weak since 2022 till now. He's just somewhere seated at our up country.
What is he
He's
not able to
seated.
do?
He doesn't do anything. He can't walk. He can't talk well. Uh, his arms can't move, can't hold something. So that 2020, life was hard for me, because my dad, enyewe, he did not support us fully, but he supported us somewhere. So when this accident happened, life was so tough, because I didn't know this job quite well, and I had to provide for my siblings, because now they are big and they are going to school, and my mom cannot be able to support them fully. So that's when I realized that I realized that I need to go into this God. So at this time, I used to smoke weed, but I used to say that weed is relaxing my mind, helping me to think. So I would market my God in my status, my WhatsApp status. Every single day, I would put a verse, just saying to my mind, I know that everything I'm passing through, there's a lot of people outside here passing through the same things. And because I cannot know these people, I'll just keep posting memory verses. So I kept posting memory verses. I kept smoking weed so that my mind can be settled. I kept crying to God sometimes and
So,
asking her
so
to.
probably just make sure. At which point have you now started crying to God or posting verses? What, what is happening?
At
Like
the
what has triggered that change?
that Because my dad was no more. My dad was not the support.
Mm-hmm.
We he could not provide the support that he was providing.
Mm-hmm.
And being the firstborn among 7 kids,
Mm-hmm.
I was forced to shift. I had started my own life, but I was forced to shift and return back home and live with my siblings, so that I can be able to pay rent. I can be able to take them to school. So this is the high time I realized that I needed God. But I needed God, and I also used to smoke weed. I did not stop, because I believed it used to calm my mind. So time went by. Then there's a certain time I cried to God in 2023, and told God to give me a destiny helper because I had customers, but I was employed. So there's a friend of mine who is in Saudi Arabia right now. We never talked, but when he was in Kenya, I once told her that I one day want to have a station, to hold a station somewhere uh, where I'll be making my clients and I'll not be answering to anyone. I'll be just paying a certain amount every month. So this time I cried to God, I cried to God, I cried to God. Then I cry to God when I'm high. God is very merciful. I go and smoke, then my mind tells me that you need to cry to your God. You need to tell
At
God
this
that,
time, Daniel, at this time, are you going to the Sarake's
no,
service or not
I'm
yet?
not. I'm
Oh,
not.
go ahead.
I was not even saved. I just knew God because I was brought up in a church way. I was brought up in that Christianity way, that way of knowing God. So I knew there's someone. I don't know. My heart just knew that there's a superior being that knew that this. I was asking God, why should He give me this task of bringing up my siblings, and He is not providing for me? So I will sometimes complain. I will sometimes pray, and doing this, I do this after smoking my weed because my weed was that one thing that made me calm down, that made me not have depression.